Staying with politics now, today Hillary Clinton is besting Bernie Sanders in New Hampshire. Now it's the first primary state in the nation. According to a new poll, Clinton is in the lead with 38%. That's a 7-point increase from last month. Sanders is right behind her with 34% of Democratic support. He's down just 1 point from September.
Vice President Joe Biden is in a distant third place with just 9%. And this comes as Biden, who's mulling a White House run, is facing questions for his evolving account of his role in the decision to kill Osama bin Laden. Our Major Garrett has that story.
I'm not going to do the speech I had prepared here tonight.
The Joe Biden presidential tease, episode 100, or so it seems, was on display.
I have now traveled over 1,100,000 miles as vice president.
At a dinner honoring Walter Mondale, a Democratic vice president who lost a run for the presidency. Metaphor watch, anyone? The optics appear lost on Biden, who spent the day generating a debate about how important he was to the president. One example, traveling overseas.
John Kerry is a great Secretary of State. Hillary Clinton was a great Secretary of State. But there are times when only the vice president, if it's known of his relationship with the president, can speak for the United States when the president can't be there.
Biden's attempt to diminish Kerry and Clinton surprised some in the White House, as did his revisionist history on privately advocating that President Obama approve the raid to capture or kill Osama bin Laden.
So as we walked out of the room and walked upstairs, I told him my opinion, that I thought he should go, but follow his own instincts.
This is how Biden described his role in the deliberations in 2012.
Mr. President, my suggestion is don't go. We have to do 2 more things to see if he's there. He walked out and said, I'll give you my decision.
Biden's new version also suggested potential rival Hillary Clinton appeared indecisive, though she portrayed herself as fully on board in her book Hard Choices and in this recent appearance in South Carolina.
I was one who recommended to the president that he go ahead, and his advisors were split.
The White House refused to play fact checker.
This is not the first time that a significant political event has prompted differing recollections from people who participated in it.
All right, Major Garrett joins us from the White House. Major, you know, we've heard these litany of jabs from Biden, and a lot of people are trying to sort of read a lot into it. I'm wondering if you think the vice president is expressing some sort of frustration with the Clinton campaign.
I think a lot more of it is Joe Biden's inability to decide what he's going to do, and then trying to publicly reconcile his role here in the White House if, in fact, he decides to run for the presidency. But it is a painful process to watch, because if you're going to run for the presidency, announce it, state what your campaign is about, and then make your case to the Democratic voters whom you want to impress. What's going on now is this sort of tortured daily recitation in public by the vice president about what he meant within this White House. As a practical matter, as an advisor to the president, as someone integrally involved in all the decision making here, fine. If that's all true, then make that part of your case for your campaign. But the first thing you have to do is decide to have a campaign. And the vice president has been unable to do that. It's left some here at the White House perplexed and a bit fatigued, I can tell you.
Major, how messy would it be if the vice president decided to get into this race? How messy would it be with the secretary and the VP in this sort of combat?
Decidedly messy, because Hillary Clinton has subtly and not so subtly made it clear that she considers herself the front runner, that she intends to stay the front runner, and that the Biden candidacy, should it emerge, would be unwelcome. That she does believe she should be the one the Democrats should rally around, nominate, and then prepare for a general election. And if Joe Biden comes into this race, he would essentially be saying, I will run for President Obama's 3rd term because you, Hillary Clinton, have decided not to, and Bernie Sanders clearly never intended to. So I have to take upon myself the burden of carrying the Obama 3rd term mantle, in which Hillary Clinton would say, go ahead, because I'm going to try to keep my lead in the polls. And the one thing that's true for Biden that he has to consider right now, and I suspect is one of the reasons he's having a hard time making the decision, is all this time he has wasted. And there's no other way to describe it. The last 3 weeks have been wasted time, because Joe Biden was moving up in the polls, there was expectation, and now what's happened? Most of that positive energy has either ebbed or disappeared entirely in national polls and in statewide polls. So whatever Joe Biden decides to do now, he is clearly not going to do it at the optimal moment.
Yeah, and I wonder what effect these little jabs are having as well. I'm wondering, you know, even if he doesn't get involved in the campaign, could he still make it messy by just sort of with these comments on the side?
Well, once Joe Biden tells the country what he intends to do, then everyone will know. And if he's not running, then he'll go back to being vice president, and probably important for this president on a couple of fronts, at least three I can think of: Ukraine, Iraq, and any negotiations that go on with Congress later on this year to resolve some very difficult, intractable, or seemingly intractable budget difficulties. Joe Biden has played that role for this president again, and he could in the very near future. So he has to decide and tell the country what he's going to do. If he gets in the race, he'll have less ability to help the president on the three things I just described: budget talks, Ukraine, and Iraq, and then he'll be a candidate. And then Hillary Clinton will deal with him as she needs to, as will Bernie Sanders. All this may come to fruition in time for, programming note, ladies and gentlemen, the CBS debate with Democratic presidential candidates in the middle of next month in Des Moines, Iowa. Check your local listings.
Major, on a completely unrelated note, it is Back to the Future Day, as if you didn't know already. And
I did.
Right? So I want to know, back in 1985, did you think you'd be outside of the White House today? Talking to me?
No, I did not. If I were to be honest with you, I was living in Amarillo, Texas. It was my first job. I graduated from college in 1984, and I will say, and God bless the people in Amarillo, you know I love you, but Amarillo hadn't really caught up to the future yet in 1985, okay? You get my meaning? There was still a lot that looked a little bit more and felt a little bit more like 1955 than 1985 in Amarillo, Texas. I had great aspirations to do two things with my career: make it to Washington and see if I could hack it as a political reporter, and maybe someday write a book. I've written 3 books, and I think I've maybe hacked it here in Washington for at least a day or two. And so it's, I think it exceeded what I was dreaming about in 1985.
Major, I think you're absolutely right. You've written books, and for us, you're the man.
Yeah.
I'm hacking it.
Major Garrett at the White House for CBS News. Thank you, Major.
Thanks.